Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you at the end of the video here to bring the 10-game NBA main slate on Friday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, they're also uploaded on Apple Podcasts. I have a link down below. It is called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on patreon.com, an esports package, which includes Call of Duty and CSGO, and an NBA package as well. And I do want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring this show. If this is your first time watching these videos or you're not familiar with Prize Picks, the idea is you take over/under on fantasy points. They will have second half contests posted sometimes. They will have fourth quarter contests posted sometimes, and they'll have just, the full game contest. So, for the stuff going on tonight, like Jason Tatum's projected for 21.2 fantasy points in the second half. So it's like you can monitor that game. Right now, it's already looking like a blowout. It's like 21-7. So if that continues, obviously, you probably want to take the under there because you might not play the fourth. There's edges like that in these second half and fourth quarter contests. Also, you can mix and match sports. You can play. They have golf. They have baseball. They have esports. They have everything you can think of. So if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up. Use go DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Also linked down below. You get a 100% match up to $100. So you put $100 in, you get $200 to play with, or a free $100. And I just want to thank you guys again for the continued support on these videos. We're getting closing in on the 9,000 subscriber mark, which is really crazy to think about. So if you guys do enjoy all these videos, live streams, you can hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, when I go live. Again, I will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow to go over everything, answer everyone's questions. Make sure to check it out. And let's try to aim for 150 likes. I know we're kind of reaching high, but let's aim for that on this video. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right. So enough of me talking about, intro stuff. Let's get into the video. Before we talk about players and the prices for this 10-game slate, I don't know if I'm ready. Don't know if I'm ready to look back at Thursday's slate. I'm sure if you guys played DFS, NBA DFS today, you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's do it. So this is my lineup here. Trae Young, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Tristan Thompson, KCP, who picks up 2 fouls in 2 minutes, Draymond Green, and Hassan Whiteside. I can get out of the way so you guys can see. All right. So where do you guys want to start? Where do you want to start? I mean, I could break out the notepad. I took some notes. It's over there, but there's no notes taken about this slate. Let's just start at the top. All right. Low owned Trae Young. Shoots 3 of 17. Starts the game 0 of 9. Bogdan Bogdanovic, the one bright spot in my lineup. Low owned, went for 51 fancy points. I told everyone in the Patreon live stream, I was like, hey, I'm taking a risk with this Atlanta Milwaukee game stack. I'm going to use Trae and Bogdan, run it back with Giannis. Well, Bogdan again, the lone bright spot. All right, this is where I am actually so upset. Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, my take now on NBA DFS is, if a player is on a minutes limit, they are playing 40 minutes that day. If a player is not on a minutes limit, like Giannis, they are going to be severely limited. All day long. Looking for news on minutes limit for Giannis. Looking for news on minutes limit for Giannis. Nothing. He's full go. All beat writers, full go, no limit. In a close game, 25 minutes. 25 minutes for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, I talked about punting both centers with Thompson and Whiteside. That, like Bogdan, I got right. But yeah, I use KCP as a filler, and he picks up 2 fouls in 2 minutes. And okay, now we got to talk about the Lakers. All right. So, probable, I guess, means you're out now. So let's start with Andre Drummond, right? That's pretty big news. Probable all day long, good to go. Ruled out after lock. Obviously, makes Gasol playable, makes Harrell now play off the bench. And then, not only do we get Markieff Morris out, who was questionable, which, I'm all right. I thought it was 50-50 whether or not he played. Dennis Schroeder gets ruled out, or gets from probable to doubtful. So, then I'm thinking, okay, are you kidding me? I already have a lot of my spots locked up. With Schroeder out, obviously you got to look to Kuzma, THT. I got to update everyone on Patreon. I got to, get back to everyone on Discord. I do all that. I'm really tilting myself because I couldn't, get a ton of Lakers in my lineup. I did, originally pivot to Caruso, THT, and Gasol just because I was like, hey, I need some more Lakers here. And then the story doesn't end. Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, he gets ruled in. So, again, just throw everything back out the window, redo everything, and yeah, that was the slate. So, you guys can tell I am not too happy, but this is going to be a low-scoring night. This is going to be low-scoring for sure. I saw Bazemore. This is only a $50 single-entry tournament. I saw Bazemore was the chalk. He was 50%. He busted. Kevin Love was 30%. He busted. Just a ton of busts. Steph Curry was just subpar. It is just, and it's all this just news. Such a forgettable slate. Unless, Tristan Thompson wants to carry me to victory. I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows? So that's all I got, guys. What a tilting slate. Just what a tilting slate. But again, good thing with DFS. Another slate tomorrow. And oh boy, 10 games. Let me tell you, this is going to be one of the craziest slates of the year. It just is. Once I get done with everything, you guys will see why. So I don't know why this Pacers-Jazz game is just being played at 2 o'clock. Not on the main slate, but just super weird that game is just early game. Pelicans-Wizards, a 242 over-under. The Pelicans, 1.5-point favorites. Hornets, Nets, a 224 over-under. The Nets, 13.5-point favorites. Nuggets and Rockets, a 224 over-under. Nuggets, 8.5-point favorites. Blazers, Spurs, 231.5 over-under. The Blazers, 1.5-point favorites. And Knicks, Mavs, 210.5 over-under. The Mavs, 5-point favorites. Oh, I do want to show you guys this. I'm currently in first in best ball. Again, I have no idea how. 3 days left. 3 days left. I will let you guys know how this finishes. I am absolutely in shock. Again, missing my top 5 picks. And I might advance. But all right, let's go. Let's talk about each team here. So start with the Pelicans. Zion Williamson, even at 10K, I think is in play. Again, phenomenal matchup, is going to play 35-plus minutes. I do like Zion, even at that price. Ingram, viable as well at 8.5, but would rather get to Zion. Also, Lonzo Ball is in this lineup, which will hurt. Slight downgrade to guys like Zion and Ingram, I think. Lonzo, I'm probably not going to get to him just because he's been out for a bit, and it's just kind of priced up, but does, slight downgrade to Zion, Ingram. Definitely takes Bledsoe completely out of play. Najee Marshall's been in and out of the starting lineup. In games he's started, he's played over 30 minutes in 2 of the last 3 games. If he starts in this matchup, you could use him as a punt play, but there might be better value plays on the slate. There's a ton. Let's move on to Washington. So Russell Westbrook, I also think, is one of the better plays of the slate. I think the slate is for sure, with all the value kind of opening up, it's setting up for that stars and scrubs build. Westbrook is always a star that you can feel really comfortable with because he plays massive minutes. Basically, it's a triple-double every single slate, and it's a good match, right? It's a 240 over-under. So Westbrook, I think, is one of the best, safest spend-ups of the slate. Brad Beal at 8.9, that just seems a little bit too cheap. Again, he doesn't do as much of the peripherals as Westbrook, but still in play because of the matchup. And then if I had to take a shot in one value guy for the Wizards, it would be Daniel Gafford. Negatives are the minutes, right? He's only playing about 15 to 18 minutes, but he's been a really good point per minute guy. Again, will he be needed? Probably not with all the other value that is on the slate, but he's at least someone you could use as a contrarian value play if you want to differentiate yourself from the field. OKC and Detroit. Can we just remove OKC from future slates? I really dislike this team because they're so bad and they just get blown out all the time. But now they're playing a Pistons team that's also terrible and resting everyone. This is just going to be the battle of like two of the worst teams in the league. So we'll start with Moses Brown at 6.1K. Definitely in play for tournaments. Has gone for 37 and 40 fantasy points the last couple games. He's a good point per minute guy. The issue is just the price, right? He's priced in the mid-range, which if you have like 6.1K remaining as the last piece in, I'm okay with it for sure. Again, I'm not afraid of the matchup against like Isaiah Stewart or Jahlil Okafor. So do us mention Moses Brown for tournaments. If you want to go Lou Dort, can we talk about against the Utah Jazz, one of the best defenses in the league? Shoots 31 times, 16 makes, 65 fantasy points for Lou Dort. I mean, what is going on? Like, what? You can take a shot on him. Ownership might be inflated after last game. If he's going to be somewhat popular, I am fine going elsewhere. Like Maladon, another guy that's like, sure, we'll play about 30 minutes. You can take a shot in for tournaments. I just don't think it's necessary. There's a lot of value, and these guys in like the mid-range, So that's all I got for OKC. Moving on to Detroit. So they're resting like 10 people, and they still have like 20 guys that are available to play. Like seriously, they still have like, it feels like 15 guys on this roster. So guys that are resting: Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, Kojo, Dennis Smith Jr., Wayne Ellington, Magruder out too. At the top, Josh Jackson at 5.3. If he does start, I think we get about 25 to 30 minutes. A fair play, guy that is a good offensive player. Saddiq Bey, I probably feel a little bit more comfortable with just because I feel like he plays more minutes. He's played 31 and 35 last couple of games, and he's a little bit cheaper than Josh Jackson. So I'm not saying Josh Jackson's out of play. I would just rather have Saddiq Bey, who I do like as a value play. I also have a good amount of interest in Isaiah Stewart. Should start at the 5, should play about 30 minutes if there's no foul trouble. In games that he started, he's been pretty good. So I do like Isaiah Stewart for value. Hamidou Diallo is a good point per minute guy, but the minutes just have not been there. Now, they're resting a lot of guys, so maybe he plays more in this game. Like, if Diallo starts, then I think we can get to him. If he comes off the bench, then it's still a little risky because, again, he's just not, like, teams just don't want to give him minutes. Now, the point guard situation is interesting. They still, with resting 2 point guards, they still have 3 point guards in this roster, in Killian Hayes, Saben Lee, and Frank Jackson. Now, Frank Jackson is, again, I want to see what they do with the starting lineup. He's at the flat min price. The issue, he's listed as a point guard, but he plays more of the off guard now with the Pistons having so many, point guards. So not out of play, but I don't know if he's going to be a guy I look to. I think I'd rather get to like the true point guards in Killian Hayes and Saben Lee. So Killian Hayes, the rookie, he's listed at 3.5. I'm expecting him and Saben Lee to split the point guard duty. So I think we get like mid-20s minutes from both, which makes them both pretty decent value plays. Again, I have interest in Killian Hayes. I have interest in Saben Lee at 3.1. I would assume he comes off the bench. But Saben Lee, he won on that stretch when the Pistons had a lot of guys out where he would play like 20 to 30 minutes, and it was like really good. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I do kind of like Saben Lee. Even if he comes off the bench, I think he's someone you could look to for value. So Lee, Hayes, firmly in play. If you want to get like super, super contrarian and maybe hope for some Isaiah Stewart foul trouble, I will mention Jahlil Okafor is a really good offensive player, a really good point per minute guy, but I don't think he plays more than like 15-ish minutes unless something happens to Stewart. So just thought I'd mention that if you want to like take a dart in large field tournaments. Clippers and 76ers, just want to be a little bit quicker. Kawhi Leonard, still questionable. If he plays, I have no interest in anyone. If he misses, you can look to Paul George as a spend up, but I'm probably not going to get to anyone else. A lot of these guys priced up from last game. So it's basically would just be Paul George for me, and that's it. There's no Kawhi. On the Phillies side, it's Embiid for me at 10.5. Did not shoot well, 13 of 29, and still in for 64 fantasy points. In a close game, I think we get about 35 minutes from Embiid, so I do like Embiid at the top. Also, Tobias Harris might miss. If Tobias Harris misses, keep an eye on the starting lineup. Like, they could start a guy, Korkmaz. He might be somewhat popular. That game, I think Tobias missed a few games ago. He went for 41. My only concern with Korkmaz is he's more reliant in the scoring. And if he's going to be pretty popular if he starts, then I'm okay looking elsewhere. All right, Charlotte, Brooklyn, another just headache of a game. So the Hornets, no Hayward, no LaMelo Ball. No Devontae Graham, no PJ Washington, no Malik Monk. We'll start with Rozier at the top. I think is an interesting contrarian spend up. He played 43 minutes in regulation last game, went for 53 fantasy points. This is a really good matchup. If the Hornets are going to keep this game close, it's probably going to be because of Terry Rozier. I like him as a GPP play. There is some blowout risk, though. Miles Bridges at 6'4", also should play all the minutes he can handle. I think he's fine in the mid-range. McDaniels has been a little bit of foul trouble recently. I think in a close game, we get about 35 minutes if you can stay out of foul trouble. Not a smash value play anymore, but still someone you can look to in the mid-range. Cody Zeller, Biyombo will split the 7 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to get to either of them. And they're probably going to start a Martin twin. It was, Caleb Martin 2 games ago that had the big game. If he starts, he's someone you could look to for value, but he came way back down to earth, 0 of 5, went for 7 fantasy points. So if he starts, don't expect 41, but he would at least be someone that would be playable if he is in that starting lineup. All right, Brooklyn. So Kyrie, Kevin Durant, really good matchup here. Again, a little bit worried about the blowout. Keep an eye on Durant news. If there's no minutes limit for him, I think he's a pretty good play at 9-4. Again, there is risk, though, with the blowout. Kyrie, don't mind as a contrarian option. With Kevin Durant in the lineup, not as good of a play. Value-wise, I'm curious to see what they do with the starting lineup. Last game, DeAndre Jordan started. Again, no more LaMarcus Aldridge. Jordan started, played 26 minutes, had a big game. If he starts again, I think he's someone that we could use for value. Probably will get similar minutes. And Claxton off the bench would probably get around 20 minutes. So keep an eye on the starting lineup. Whoever starts the 5, do have a little bit of interest in for Brooklyn. Orlando and Toronto, so not a ton of love on the Orlando side. I think Wendell Carter Jr. in the mid-range is the guy that I would maybe take a shot on. 31, 47 fantasy points last couple of games. Should get about 30 minutes. And Toronto's missing a ton of guys. So I think Wendell Carter Jr. is an all right play in the mid-range. Yeah, there's no Porter, Bamba questionable, MCW out, but they still have a lot of guards, and I just don't love the pricing on a lot of these Magic guys, so I'm probably not getting to anyone else. All right, Toronto, another fun team. No Siakam, no Lowry, resting for like the 5th straight game. No OG, no Trent, no Bembry. All right, so starting with Fred VanVleet, who's been out for a while, is now in. Nick Nurse has shown he will not limit players. Like, that's just what we've seen. When Lowry plays, he's played big minutes. So I assume with VanVleet in, he will play his normal minutes, which means he'll be limited based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks. But my guess is if he starts, he plays his normal 35 to 40 minutes and is someone we can for sure look to at the top. Chris Boucher at 7-1. In play for tournaments, we know is a good point per minute guy. I prefer, though, the price on Kem Birch at 3.8. Last game, he started with Boucher. He played 29 minutes. Sure, Boucher's about a point per minute guy, but it's a price point thing, right? Birch is 3.8, and Boucher is 7-1. Now, Malachi Flynn with VanVleet in the lineup, I think is still playable, but not as good of a play. Also, the price came up a bit, and I don't think I can stomach anyone else. Like Stanley Johnson, Rodney Hood will get minutes. Gillespie, actually, how many minutes did he play last game? He played 19, was pretty good. I mean, in a large field tournament, sure, you can take a dart in him, but that's all I got for Toronto. Denver, Houston, it's a great matchup. So Jokic at the top looks good. There is some blowout risk even without Jamal Murray, but yeah, I think Jokic is a guy we can look to the top. Of the mid-range guys, it's MPJ. He's been really playing well, really consistent, and has been their clear number 2. So MPJ I also like in the mid-range. Probably not get to Barton or Gordon. With the guards, it's going to be a 3-headed monster if Campoza, Monte Morris, Dozier. Monte Morris started the last game, so if he starts again, he's probably the guy I look to first. But all 3 of those guys are at least in play. The backup 5, it's been like a rotation with Millsap and McGee. Some games Millsap will get DNPs. Some games McGee will get DNPs. There's just no reason to take shots on them in this slate. Moving on to Houston. So also a team that's pretty short-handed. The starters should play big minutes. Not necessarily the best matchup, but, basically all 5 starters are playable for tournaments. Wall is probably my favorite guy. Got him a low ownership last slate. Went for 52 fancy points. He's just a guy that is super aggressive on the offensive end and demands a lot of usage in his offense. So Wall is a contrarian spend up. Olynyk, Wood, Kevin Porter Jr., they're all in play too, because they're all going to play like 35-plus minutes if this game stays close. But no priority plays for me in Houston. All right, Memphis, Chicago. Jonas Valanciunas continues to play over 30 minutes. 36, 32, 34, 33. This is a good matchup against Chicago. I like Jonas Valanciunas even at 7-9. Again, if the plan is to play him over 30 minutes, I think he's still a bit underpriced. Don't mind Ja for tournaments. Minutes have been there. Production, we haven't really seen a big game from Ja in a while, but do have a little bit interest in him for tournaments. And then Brandon Clark's questionable. If he's out, we could look to a guy like Slow-Mo, who does get a boost. Probably plays about 30 minutes. So Slow-Mo would be a viable play in the mid-range if there's no Clark. Moving on to Chicago, so no Zach LaVine. Going to be interesting here. So Vucevic is going to be the clear number one on offense. He should get, around 35 minutes. I do kind of like him at the top just because with LaVine out, he should get a lot more usage. Minutes are trending down on Thad Young. I mean, Daniel Tice is also playing pretty solid minutes and playing alongside Vooch. 29, 27, 27, and he's still below 4K. I do think Tice is a pretty good value play. And then, with no LaVine, Satoransky's at 5.5. I think at least playable. Same with Kobe White. I want to see who they end up starting for LaVine at the 2. I think LaVine, I forget when it was, missed a couple weeks ago, and Denzel Valentine moved into the starting lineup, and he played well. I think it was this game against Phoenix where he played 29 minutes, went for 33 fantasy points. So, if by off chance they start Denzel at the flat min, sure, you can have some consideration. The worry is, Chicago has a lot of guards now. Garrett Temple, they can dust off for some minutes. They have, Ryan Arcidiacono that, might play a little bit. They have a lot of guys that, they could use. So, I don't think I touch the bench with the guards, but, whoever ends up starting for LaVine, I think is at least in play for value. Miami, Minnesota, it's a good matchup here for the Miami Heat. Jimmy, Bam at the top, I think are both decent spend ups. So would rather get to Jimmy than Bam, but yeah, both those guys are in play. Point guard duties, Dragic and Nunn are split the time. I guess I give the edge to Nunn. I think he plays more minutes, but don't love either of them. On the Minnesota side, not much here. Miami's kind of been a black hole. Really solid defensively. Cat is contrarian spend up. Edwards is a contrarian play in tournaments. He can shoot the ball a ton, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to anyone in Minnesota on the slate. Portland and San Antonio. So on the Portland side, Lillard and CJ I do think go a little bit overlooked. I don't think either are priorities plays on the slate, but we know both guards should play mid-30s minutes. So they're fine contrarian options. With Kanter, Nurkic, I will mention he did play 26 minutes the last game. He's a good point per minute guy. If there's no minutes limit for Yusuf Nurkic and he plays closer to the 30-minute mark, I actually think he's a pretty good play in the mid-range. Will we get news on this? Probably not. But I think you can at least take a shot at Nurkic and hope he gets close to 30 minutes. On the San Antonio side, I just really dislike this team. You guys know that. You know that. There's a few teams I really dislike. The Spurs are one of them for DFS. It's just when they're fully healthy, I just put my hands in the air. DeRozan, Murray, White are all in play for tournaments. Probably one of those guys is a good game. DeRozan has been the most consistent. I just don't think I can stomach anything on a 10-game slate like this. And finally, Knicks and Mavs. I think Randall as a contrarian spend up looks pretty good. He just continues to play massive minutes. Should get about 40 minutes. Also, keep an eye on Nerlens Noel news. If Nerlens Noel is out, we could look to a guy like Taj Gibson who started and played 35 minutes last game. So I actually would have some interest in Taj if there's no Noel. So it's Taj and Randall, and that is it. On the Dallas side, I'll make this really simple. Basically no interest. Luka, Porzingis, it's a terrible matchup. It's a revenge game for Porzingis if you're into that, but there's just better spend ups in the slate. So that's going to do it for the team dive team breakdown, guys, and that's going to do it for the video as well. If you have been enjoying the content this far, I would really appreciate if you hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, on live. Again, I will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow. Make sure to check it out. Thanks again. Have a great night, guys. Let's hope for a less tilting night, and I'll see you tomorrow in the live stream.